Now we have to get into the ninth Anuvaka, the Navamoma Anuvaka of Rudrathyaya. So we are looking at the meaning of the mantras here. So this Anuvaka has got 19 mantras, consisting of the last 35 epithets of Shiva, which is part of the Rudra Trishati. Rudra Trishati, we use 300 namas. With these 300 namas, we worship Lord Shiva. So each one of those represent the various aspects of the creation, which is made as they are by the presence of Shiva. So in this Anuvaka, the Rishi is seeing Lord Shiva in well-traveled roads, in rugged and rocky and uneven places, uninhabitable places, and then also in inhabitable places, one who has got matted hair, etc., etc., etc. So that means whatever you see, you should be able to see the presence of the Lord in Shiva. So as I mentioned earlier, when I was commenting on the 8th Anuvaka, Shiva, Shivatara and Shivatama, that is, you become Shiva by worshipping Shiva. You become Shivatara by seeing yourself in every entity in the creation. You become Shivatama by seeing every entity in the creation in yourself. So these are the three important aspects of how to meditate upon Shiva through the Rudradhyaya. So in here it starts with Nama Irinyaya Cha. So Irinya means the saline land. You know, if you were to go to coastal areas, especially if any of you have traveled in Gokarna and those areas in coastal Karnataka, I think they also do in West Bengal along the sea coast. In those coasts, what they do is they let the sea water into the land when high tide is there, and then they build an embankment around the water that is accumulated, and then they let the water dry. When the water completely dries in summer, the whole place will be salt. This is how they mine salt, natural salt. See, when you see natural salt, sea salt in the stores, those sea salts are harvested like that. And this is related to this name, Nama Irinyaya Cha. Actually, it is an allegorical representation of the samsara or the life we are going through. Because in the saline land, other than salt, actually sometimes even salt may not be there, the land may become saline. And then it becomes barren. It cannot yield any edible good yield. And whatever yield it gives is not going to be very pleasant either. So many bitter things are coming out. So allegorically, Nama Irinyaya is referred to the samsara, life of becoming. In the life of becoming, you go on struggling and struggling and struggling every single day, thinking that tomorrow something good will happen. Tomorrow I will have sukha. If I retire, everything will be sukha. If I get married, it will be sukha. If I finish this graduation, it will be sukha. If I change this town, it will be sukha. So it is the chasing sukha and in the barren land of one's life. Don't think it is depressing. The reason it is not depressing is this is a learning process. That is, when do we become sad or sorrowful? When you expect something from the world which it does not contain. The world does not contain, does not have what we are expecting of the world, isn't it? So whose mistake is that? It is our mistake that we are expecting from the world all kinds of pleasant things when it is absent. So if you go to Irinyaya, and then you plant flowers and fruits, it doesn't come up, isn't it? So, therefore, it is teaching us realistic expectation. What should be expected from samsara is the essence of irinyaya. So the immediate next word, prapatyayacha, points it out to us. Prapatyayacha means what is the well-travelled path. A well-travelled path of those who know Shiva. What is that well-travelled path? It is the path of knowledge. So if you go on looking at the entire history of mankind, who has been successful? You see success only where people have pursued knowledge. What kind of knowledge? Knowledge and discrimination of what is real and what is unreal. It is called as Viveka. So Viveka is the properly trodden path. Because when we say that it is a proper, well-trodden path, what does it say? It says a lot of people have found that the path taken here is definitely going to lead you to the destination. So how do we create roads? How do we create paths? Paths are created where it is most conducive to travel. See, you must have seen how they do survey. Why is it that some of the roads are actually have curves? Why not we have dead straight roads? Even some of the straight roads also have to bypass a few places. For example, the land itself, the earth itself may not be able to bear the weight of a particular volume of traffic. Even when they build bridges across the rivers, there also they do a lot of soil testing, a lot of geology is involved in that. So prapatyayacha means it is a well-travelled path. Namah kigum shilayacha kshayanayacha. Kim shila. Actually kigum, gum when you use in Yajurveda, it is only because of phonetic reasons we do kigum shilayacha. The real word is kim shilayacha. Kim shila means rocky. They are all very rocky places which are uninhabitable. So rocky places also is metaphorical. Kshayanayacha. Kshayana means gravel, where natural and man-made gravel is formed. On gravel you cannot walk on barefoot. And then it will be glassy surface, so you will also slip and fall. And therefore kshayanayacha. Then namah kapardinecha pulastayecha. Kapardi is a very exclusive name for Shiva. Because kaparda or kapardi means one who has got matted hair. So the matted hair is the one in which he caught Ganga, the descent of Ganga. And this is also one of the names of 11 Rudras. We chant the Rudra 11 times. Kapardi is one of those 11 names. So what are the other names? Nirirati, Shambhu, Aparajita, Mrigavyadha, of course Kapardi, Dahana, Khara, Ahirbhudnya, Kapali, Pingala and Senani. So the 11 Anuvakas of the Rudradhyaya corresponds to these 11 forms of Rudra, and Kapardi is one of them. So how did he get this name Kapardi? It is because when the arrogant Ganga was jumping onto his head, then he created a matted hair. A matted hair is a very naughty hair. You cannot actually, you have to take a lot of difficulty to straighten that hair. So this you have seen whenever somebody has got a full head of hair, to manage that hair, how much people have to work on that. So this matted hair in which he traps Ganga, not even one drop of water is released. I talked about it in another location. What is the philosophical significance of that? The next name is Pulastayecha. In Sanskrit, sometimes la and ra are interchangeable. So, just like some of the children cannot pronounce ra and they substitute la. So the Pulastayecha is actually Purastayecha. Puraha tishtati iti. That means one who stands in front of you. Here, you may recall that we talked about how everybody sees Shiva. Utainang Gopa. All the cow girls know they have seen Shiva, so therefore they know Shiva. Only they may not recognize. Udaharyaha, the women who bring water. And as I mentioned, in the olden days, women used to carry water. Why olden days? Even now they do. Only we don't do in this country. Maybe very soon it will start from California. So this, how did this Purasta, Pulastya come? Please don't confuse Pulasta, Nama Pulastaya to Pulastya, because Pulastya is a different person. So just as a side note, there was a very ancient sage by name Pulastya. It may not be wrong to associate Shiva with Pulastya, because Pulastya was one of the Manasaputras, or Manasaputra means immaculate birth. Manasaputras of the creator Chaturmukha Brahma. He had 10 children, and these 10 children were all called Prajapatis. So who are these 10 children? Marichi, Atri, Angirasa, Pulastya, Pulaha, Kratu, Vasishtha, Daksha, of the famed Daksha Prajapati, Bhrugu and Narada. These were the 10 sons, first 10 sons of the Creator. So most of our Gotras, the lineage, comes from one of these 10. For example, mine is a Srivatsa Gotra, it comes from Bhrugu. So Kaushika Gotra, it comes from Vasishtha. Like that, each of the Gotras, one definitely has an origin from one of these 10. Obviously it has to be, because they are the first 10 sons of the Creator. And our Pulastya had 2 wives. The other Rishi, Bharadvaja, incidentally, with Ganga, they had a daughter. Her name is called Ilavida. Then that's the first wife of Pulastya. Then there was a demon by name Sumali. And that Sumali demon's wife is Tataka. The reason I gave this reference is to help you in your study of Ramayana. So this Pulastya had 2 wives, Ilavida, daughter of Bharadwaja and Ganga, and then Kaikasi, who was daughter of Sumali and Tataka. So from Ilavida, sage Pulastya gets a son Kubera, the treasurer of the gods, the lord of the north, and then who is protected by Shiva, who was ousted from Lanka by Ravana, and then from the other wife, Kaikasi, he gets 3 sons, Ravana, Kumbhakarna and Vibhishana. So you can see this is the group. So why and how can we associate Pulastya with Shiva? It is because the Samhara Karya, or the destructive element of the creation, where a particular being which has been created has to end its life, because there is birth, there is preservation and death. How can death happen? Death happens only through a particular medium. And that medium is demonical in nature. Don't take it in the ethical sense. You take it in the functional sense. So what is the role of a of a demonical property. The role of the demonical property, which has got Rajas and Tamas together, is to kill, is to slay, is to end the order. And therefore Shiva, as Pulastya, creates the order of destruction by bringing death and destruction in front of you. So there is Pulastya, which is the energy in all demonical qualities. At the appropriate time, exactly at the appropriate time, it comes in front of us. So by being in demonical qualities, Rajastama, and waiting for the right time, he comes in front of you. So much is there in this one word, Pulastaye Namaha. Namo Goshthyaya cha Grihyaya cha. Goshtha means cowpen. One who is taking care of the cows in the cowpen. And Grihyaya cha, the householder. So the Shiva is known to be protecting those in the cowpen. So Krishna is one of the classic cases where that is why Krishna and Shiva are very, very dear to each other. Then Grihyayacha, it is the householders. He is in the householder. If Shiva was not in the householder, how do you justify that every householder takes care of his family? What is the logical reason why in a family we take care of each other? How can you justify that? It is because in every householder Shiva is there, and therefore he evokes the appropriate love and affection to a particular member of the family. A parent loving the child, a husband and wife loving each other, or loving the parents, relatives, and all that. How does it happen? How do you justify? How do you explain? It is because Shiva is there in every householder. Then, Namastalpyaya cha Gehyaya cha. This is an interesting phrase. Talpya means those who are reclining on the couch. Bed and couch also. So those who are reclining in the bed or couch, the couch potatoes, so in them there is the Shiva. Then Gehyayacha, Geha means building. Actually not an ordinary building. A Geha is a palatial building. So the reason why this mantra Talpyayacha and Gehyayacha is brought is don't be envious of people who are having lot of comforts. Because the Puranas talk about Swarga, Vaikuntha, and if you have done lot of merit, you will go to heaven, and in the heaven, all heavens are described as places of luxury. How did they reach there? It is only because of meritorious act. If anybody is having a very comfortable life, if anybody is enjoying all kinds of material comforts, it is because in the past they have done meritorious work. So very important, we envy people who are better off than us, but we don't see that they got there because of their past good deeds, of meritorious deeds. Why is it we become envious? As I mentioned the other day, it is because we do not see the cause, we only see the effect. Because we are always seeing the effect, we have to derive the cause also. The Talpyayacha and Gehyayacha here is actually refers to the glorious spiritual world. So it is not just the physical comfort. For talking about physical comfort, why should we need Veda Mantra? Veda Mantra is talking about here the repose, the comfort. What happens when you sit in a couch or lie down in a bed? You are very comfortable, isn't it? What is the state of comfort? The state of comfort is being in a spiritual comfort. So Kulya and the Gehya refer to the spiritual comfort. Namah Katyaya cha Gahvaresthaya cha. Kata or Kati or Kata, Katya is actually thorny, very thorny and impenetrable places. Gahvara means inaccessible mountain caves. You might have heard a phrase in all Indian languages, Giri Gahvara. Giri Gahvara means very inaccessible caves in mountains. We have seen one, and you can go to, if you go to Panchavati, which is near Nasik in central India. So Panchavati was the place where Rama, Lakshmana and Sita stayed for a while. And then very close by is Nasik. In Nasik there is the one of the Jyotirlingas. Near there are mountains. In those mountains there are caves. Now of course they have made it accessible. You can actually go on steps and all that. It is at a very good height. Maybe you may have to go about 70-80 steps. And there are deep caves there. Actually we also saw a very, very old sadhu. So he might be probably more than 100 years old. And people used to live there because they don't want to be in the midst of noisy cities. Then Namo Hridayaya cha. Hridaya, should not misunderstand, the word Hridaya has nothing to do with the heart. Here Hridaya means deep waters, unfathomable deep waters. Niveshpyaya cha means dewdrops. So you can see how they are juxtaposed, this sage has juxtaposed this. Means it is an enormous body of water and the tiniest particle of water as a dewdrops, which you can remember the mantra with that Mahanarayana starts, Anoraniyan Mahato Mahiyan, that which is the smallest of the small and biggest of the big. So similarly the next mantra also talks about Namaha Pagam Savyaya cha Rajasyaya cha. Pamsu or Pamsa means a very minute dust particle which is not visible to the eye. So the logicians use this word to refer to the atom. So Namah Pagam Savya, because atom is a particle. So Pagam Savyaya cha Rajasyaya. Rajasya here it's not Rajas only. Rajasya means it is a dust particle which is visible. So the invisible and the visible. This mantra must have inspired the tradition that if you go to Rameshwaram, that you make a linga from the sand on the banks of the ocean and make a linga from that, and then you worship that linga, which is what Rama did on his journey. So the way to understand this mantra is Pamsu means it is the potentiality of Rajoguna. Rajasya means it is the manifested Rajoguna. So that is how you have to understand this mantra. Namah Shushkyaya cha Harityaya cha. Another set of opposites. Shushka means dried up and Rajas Haritya means green and fresh. So dried and green wood also you can see. Namo Lopyaya cha Ulapyaya cha. Lopya means all the grass and the plants that actually withers away and disappears when you plant it in very hard, inarable soil. And then Ulapya means where coarse grasses grow. See, in grass there are many different varieties of grass. There is the Kusha grass, which we use in worship. There is the Darba grass. And there is a very soft grass which we use in puja for Ganesha, which comes out in three strands, Ganapati puja. So instead of, it's not as soft and tender as those grasses, but it is very harsh grass. Again, those grasses are very piercing. It will be like thorns. So that those thorns don't kill us, but they really bother us a lot. It is many pinpricks that we go through in our own life. We'll continue next week.